Morning came slowly to the village of Ogwil. The villagers woke to a strange sight. Obesai Monko was returning from the direction of Okoro Hill. His clothes were dusty. His eyes looked tired and distant. But something about him had changed. He walked quietly through the village without greeting anyone. People watched him from their compounds. Some whispered, others avoided looking directly at him. An old woman carrying firewood quickly made the sign of protection on her chest as he passed. Obesai reached his small mud house and stopped. Before he could enter, Amara ran outside. "Brother." Tears filled her eyes. "You left all night. Mama thought you were dead." Obesai forced a weak smile. "I am fine." Then he looked at his mother. Mama Neka was standing outside, standing. For the first time in many months, the coughing had stopped. The weakness in her body seemed to have disappeared overnight. Obesai froze. "Mama." She smiled softly. "I do not know what happened. When morning came, I suddenly felt strong again." Fear moved quietly through Obesai's chest, but before he could speak, something else caught his attention. A leather bag sat near the doorway of the hut. Obesai frowned. That bag was not there before. Amara quickly opened it. The three of them froze. Inside the bag were bundles of money, more money than Obesai had ever seen in his entire life. Amara screamed in shock. Mama Neka covered her mouth. Obesai's heart began to pound heavily. He slowly looked down at the ground, and his blood turned cold. Under the bright morning sun, he had no shadow. News spread through Ogwil before sunset. People gathered outside Obesai's compound in disbelief. Some said he had found buried treasure. Others believed the rich man from the city had blessed him. But the older villagers looked afraid, especially after one little boy pointed at Obesai and shouted, "Why is there no shadow behind him?" Silence fell immediately. The crowd slowly stepped backward. Obesai forced himself to laugh. "The sun is too strong. That is all." But nobody looked convinced. That evening, Obesai used part of the money to buy food, clothes, and medicine for his family. For the first time in years, laughter returned to the house. Mama Neka cooked a full pot of soup. Amara smiled again, and for a brief moment, Obesai believed maybe the sacrifice had been worth it. Maybe. Days passed, then weeks, and Obesai became richer. More money kept appearing mysteriously. Sometimes inside bags near his doorway, sometimes buried beneath his floor, sometimes wrapped inside strange black cloth outside his compound at dawn. He bought land. He rebuilt his hut into the finest house in Ogwil. People who once mocked him suddenly respected him. Young men greeted him carefully. Women smiled at him differently. Even village elders visited his compound. But strange things also began happening. Terrible things. The man who sold Obesai his new land died suddenly. In his sleep 2 days later, a trader who collected money from Obesai lost his entire family in a fire that same week. Another man who accepted a gift from Obesai disappeared while traveling at night. Fear slowly entered the village. People began whispering again, "This world carries darkness. That boy brought something evil from Okoro Hill. His shadow was collected." Soon, mothers started warning their children not to go near Obesai's house after sunset. Even animals behaved strangely around him. Dogs barked wildly whenever he passed. Goats cried and struggled if he touched them. And every night, Obesai began hearing strange sounds inside his house, soft footsteps, dragging slowly across the floor. At first, he tried to ignore them, but the sounds grew worse. Sometimes he heard whispering outside his window. Sometimes he woke up and saw dark shapes moving across the walls. One night, during heavy rain, Obesai sat alone in his room unable to sleep. Then suddenly, knock, 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 3 slow knocks sounded at his door. Obesai stood up carefully. "Who is there?" No answer, only silence. Then the knocks came again. Knock, knock, knock. Obesai picked up his lantern with shaking hands and moved toward the door. As he passed the mirror hanging on the wall, he stopped suddenly. His body became cold. Inside the mirror, something was standing behind him, a dark figure, thin, tall, shaped exactly like him, his shadow, but it no longer looked human. Its eyes were completely black, and it was smiling. Obesai turned around immediately. Nothing was there. When he looked back at the mirror, the shadow was gone. Then a voice whispered softly behind the door, "Obesai." His breathing stopped. It was Amora's voice. Brother. Open the door. Obesai rushed forward and opened it immediately, but nobody was there, only darkness and rain. Then suddenly, he heard Amora scream from outside the house. Obesai ran toward the sound. Villagers were already gathering near the village well with lanterns and torches. Mama Neka was crying uncontrollably. Obesai pushed through the crowd and froze. Amora's body lay beside the well, lifeless. Her eyes were wide open with fear. Obesai fell to his knees. No, Mama Neka grabbed him, crying loudly. She left the house after hearing your voice call her outside. Obesai's heart stopped. My voice. The villagers became silent. An old elder slowly stepped forward. His face was pale with fear. The thing that followed you from the forest has started collecting its payment. After Amora's burial, everything changed completely. The villagers no longer hid their fear. People avoided Obesai openly now. No one entered his compound. No one accepted gifts from him again. Children ran whenever they saw him coming. But Obesai no longer cared about the wealth. Every night, the shadow appeared closer, sometimes in mirrors, sometimes standing outside his window, watching him silently, smiling. And each time it appeared, someone in the village died soon. After, Obesai became weak from fear. He stopped sleeping, stopped eating. The wealth around him no longer brought happiness, only terror. Finally, one night, he made a decision. He would return to the forest. The moon was full when Obesai reached the old hut again. The forest felt colder than before. The old woman was already waiting outside. You came back, she said calmly. Obesai fell to his knees before her. Take the wealth back, please. The old woman looked at him quietly. The deal was completed. My sister is dead. She was the first. Obesai's body trembled. Tears filled his eyes. Please. How do I stop it? The old woman stared at him for a long time. Then she spoke softly. A shadow separated from its owner becomes hungry. Obesai's breathing shook. What does it want? The woman's pale eyes rested on him. It wants the life you used words to protect. Fear swallowed him whole. No. The old woman pointed behind him slowly. Obesai turned, and there it stood, his shadow, tall and black beneath the moonlight, smiling with empty eyes. Then suddenly, it rushed toward him. Obesai screamed. The forest shook violently. And the sound of his scream echoed across Okoro Hill until morning. The next day, villagers gathered near the entrance of the forest after hearing terrible noises during the night, but they found nothing. No Obesai, no old woman, no hut, only silence. And on the ground beneath the trees, lay a dark human-shaped shadow bound into the earth, a shadow with no owner. From that day onward, nobody entered the forest behind Okoro Hill again, and whenever parents in Ogwe wanted to warn their children about greed, they told them one story, the story of the man who sold his shadow for wealth.